Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode, I got a bunch of us here, and we're going to be talking about paranormal investigations, Bigfoot, and Hatman, or some stuff like that. But before we get into the guest, we're going to introduce the other rejects. And we got Brooke from Dark, Florida with us. What is going on, Brooke? How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back, and especially with this lovely guest who I do know personally. Her stories tonight are going to be great. So, this is one that you want to make sure you listen to all the way to the end. But in the meantime, you can find me on Instagram at Dark Florida Podcast and wherever you get your podcasts at Dark Florida Podcast. And Natalie will also be speaking at an event that I'm going to be speaking at, Charlie's Beyond Belief Expo, October 18th in Fort Myers, Florida. The Occult Rejects will also be there. So come hang out, get weird with us. It's going to be a good one. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. No, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. And thank you for getting this guest on. That's what's up. And we got Tim joining us. What is going on, sir? It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Nick. Happy to be here. I heard Bigfoot, so hey, I'm ready for this. Tim Constantine. My show is Sixth Sensory Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Patreon. And it's great to be back on Occult Rejects again. Hello to all, and I'm ready for this. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you joining us. And we got Sarah going on. What's going on? How are you?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am the co-host of Universe Unveiled and public relations for the Institute for Natural Philosophy. And I'm excited to learn about some paranormal stuff today. And looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on again.
No, of course. No, thank you for joining us. The public relations, is that a new one?
No, I've always been public relations.
Realized that too.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
just realized that right now too. I literally just realized, like, what public are you serious? I was like, hold up.
Yeah, it was that first, and then we started the podcast. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did I ever deal with you prior in the past? Because I remember Ricardo. Yeah, Ricardo had set me up with somebody one time to help like work on the website. I'm wondering if it was. I forget about it. Sorry.
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. All right. And now we got Headless Giant. What's going on, Headless? How are you?
How you doing, everybody? You can find me on Twitter and on YouTube, also on Instagram. If you have any paranormal stories, I read them on Saturday or on Thursday nights. So send them to the Headless Giant at a podcast at gmail.com, and I will read those for you. And the trialogues, I fell asleep yesterday, but we will get more trialogues done. I know you guys like it, so we'll get that done. It's coming soon, so that's where you can find me. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah, thank you. And if you send in any stories, put in your address. I'll send you some free stickers. Make it worth it. All right, there we go. And we got Tyrone. What is going on, sir?
Hi, what's up, everybody? Hey, I'm glad to be here. I love these stories, paranormal, cryptids, especially Bigfoot. I love the story about that. So I'm excited to get this started. Everything you can find about me is on my website, rebirthoftheword.com. My best-selling book on Amazon, Journey Through the Origins of History, can be found on Amazon.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. And finally, to the guest, we have Natalie Smearman from Relic Films. What is going on, Natalie? How are you?
Hey, how y'all doing? I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much. As with everybody else, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Natalie Smearman. And you can also, I work with Relic Films. We're going to be launching a talk show on Channel 12 TV network called Beyond the Ordinary. And I co-host a podcast called Paranormal Among Us every Tuesday night. And I also will be filming with Enigma 911. So we're going to be doing a lot of paranormal, a lot of Bigfoot, a lot of Dogman. We've got all kinds of, I'm hoping to catch a rake. So I'm excited.
Nice. Yeah, we need broadcasting seats here for this rake. Very upset. But all right. So, all right, what got you into I guess you bring us up to what got you into even paranormal investigations, Bigfoot and Hatman.
Yeah. So my paranormal experience started very, very early, around the age of 3. Started at my grandparents' house. I saw my great grandmother, who had passed away many, many years prior to me even being born. I ran to her and nobody else saw her but me. Throughout the years, I always had, feelings of when spirit was around me, whether it be a good spirit or a negative spirit. I've always had that in or around me, hearing things, certain voices to kind of steer me away from things like, don't do that. And so that was my upbringing. And then when I was about 13 years old, I was going through a really, really hard time. And I was laying in bed. It was the middle of the night. And I woke up and my great grandmother was standing at the foot of my bed, all a white figure, beautiful white figure, glowing. You saw the little bun on the top of her head and her little house dress, and just cute as a button. And she was looking at me, just has a smile and just like, it's okay. You're not alone. And that was phenomenal. I knew at that point that there was something far, far beyond what I had ever known to be in the physical world. There was a spiritual world beyond that, which was really cool. And throughout my life, I've had various experiences with the paranormal, whether it be um, spirits manifesting themselves, spirits touching me, Hat Man, which was not a good experience. I have had dealings with shadow people. Again, not a good experience, but I've learned from those experiences. So, and then that all got me into learning more about the cryptid world, because when you're in the paranormal field long enough, you realize that there is a bridge from the paranormal over to the cryptid world.
Sure.
And so then you've got, your orbs, your Bigfoot, your dog man, you've got the rakes, and then you've got
Chupacabra.
beyond that the aliens. So yeah, I'm dabbling in everything because it's very much all connected.
I think it is actually. I think it's all connected to the occult sciences as well. So-
It's incredible, and there are so many levels to it and layers, and people, like us, going out and investigating and bringing forth truth and information to folks via a podcast or a talk show or a conference, or just talking amongst one another and just really supporting one another. So it's such a cool vibe.
Nice. Sorry, I'm laughing at that. We kind of just glanced over the whole rake thing. I am going to get back to it. But I did want to ask you, and I'll just be honest because it's of my own ignorance. It was mentioned a little bit, I think, recently on the show. What's the deal of the story with Hat Man? I actually don't know much about
Yeah. So I'll tell you my story, and then I'll tell you beyond that what I have learned. So my son, who again, very much like me, started seeing spirits at a very young age. Mine have always been mostly good, some negativity, but nothing ever that lasted. Well, he came to me when he was about 8, 9 years old, going, Mom, there's a dark figure in my room watching me. He has this hat on, this dark hat, and he has no face. And I'm going, and I had known from studying what that was. And I'm like, okay, we have to get rid of this. So I started to sage, bless the house, like, you're not welcome here. And every time I did that, he stayed away for a few months, and he would always come back and he would watch my son. My son was the only one that could see him. And he wouldn't come around my daughter. He wouldn't come around me. It was only around my son when either I was downstairs. As soon as I would walk upstairs, he would disappear. So my son was like, Mom, he came back around again. He's watching me. He's watching me. He was in the bathroom. He was in my bedroom. He was out, following me. So every time we went through this, like sage, Palo Santo, pray, anointing the house, just, you're not welcome here. But I was always like, just stern, but this is how it is. Well, then one day my son came home from school going, Mom, the Hat Man followed me to school
Oh, fuck no.
and was at school watching me in from the hallway. Now,
There's some Kruger
that
type.
was like the straw. That was it. I said, you know what? So that weekend, my kids went to go with their dad, and I had the house alone. And I said, we're done. I saged the house, I blessed the house, and I went upstairs, and in his room, I had the biggest come to Jesus. I said, you ever show your face in this house to my son or anybody in my family, I will drag you to the depths of hell for eternity, and you will fear me for eternity. And he never came back.
Oh shit.
I had to lay down the law. I had to put it on the line, and I had to just confront him and saying, enough. And so just setting little boundaries was not enough, or just asking him to leave, because he kept coming back and he kept pressing the issue and just going a little bit further and a little bit further. Well, what I have learned is that the Hat Man and shadow figures are very much the same. They're
That's
of
what
the
I was trying
same.
to get out of this from what you were saying. That's what I was kind of
Yeah,
thinking.
it's very much the same. They are not good energy. They're very bad energy. I'm not saying they are demonic by any means. I don't believe that they are demonic. I believe it is a negative, toxic energy that is earthbound and will attach to certain humans, people in the physical world, to draw on their energy. And you're absolutely right. Hat Man lives in the woods too, because Hat Man can be found anywhere, just like a shadow figure can be found anywhere where a negative entity will reside.
You think Hat Man trolls Bigfoot?
I'm sure of it. I'm sure,
These
because
other things out in the woods, you wonder if they fuck with each other. Do they know about each other?
you know what? I'm sure that they do, because when you're out in the woods and you have a lot of paranormal and cryptid activity, that is pure energy. And what we have seen and there are multiple reports out there that you see an orb, and then all of a sudden a Bigfoot appears, or a Bigfoot will walk, and then all of a sudden the trails end. There have been reports that they go and they form into an orb, a ball of energy. They're able to transform themselves into energy and manifest themselves into this energy, and can go through a portal or go into the next realm and travel beyond this. So that is pure energy. And then you hear of, and I have personally witnessed on multiple occasions, being out in the woods in a very, very heavily energized area where there are orbs, or you're hearing whoops and knocks of a creature that is cryptic. And so this cryptid is putting off a lot of energy, and then all of a sudden you look at your battery and it was at 100% and it goes to zero.
Yeah. Wonder if the orbs do that.
And the orbs are so cool. I mean, we have witnessed those so many times around areas where Bigfoot has been spotted or Dogman has been spotted. And we'll go in and listen, and then all of a sudden these orbs pop up. And the last time I experienced that, which was so cool, we were out every day for a full week out investigating. Every single day we saw orbs. That was unheard of. None of us have ever experienced it. And it was we had the same experience where we would go out middle of the night. We'd get this feeling of being watched. We get this feeling of dread. And then all of a sudden we would just sit still and nothing would show up on the therm, whether like a figure. Then all of a sudden we would see on the path, on each side of us, were like reddish orange orbs. And then in front of us and above were like these whitish blue orbs and green orbs. and they would just appear, and you could tell that they were looking at us and just kind of observing. And then the red and orange ones would just stay off in the distance, almost like we're watching out. We're like the lookout, so to speak. And these other orbs were just observing, like, what are you?
That's
You
interesting. Even
know?
Kabbalistically, those colors stuck in the way
Yeah, it was just, they were, and there was a group of us, we're all seeing the same thing. We're all documenting the same thing. And it was just like, this is crazy. Well, then after a couple days of this, we're like, let's start doing some experiments. If we're going to keep seeing these, let's see what triggers them. So we found out that if we stay quiet, they go away. If we're laughing and having fun and singing and dancing and being positive and projecting this positive energy, here they come in. They're
That
coming
makes
in closer. One came as close as about 4 feet right in front of me, just watching
Yeah, I wonder if
and
certain chants
watching.
would actually make it start to come, like certain mantras, maybe over and over again, would actually make them start to appear.
Yeah, and it was just really, I think they understand that, our energy, knowing that we weren't a threat. We were there to observe. We were being very, very respectful. One time during one of these, seeing these orbs, we started hearing disembodied voices behind us
Shit.
in the woods. I mean, we couldn't understand it, but it was a male voice behind us, and there was nothing there. So that was really cool too.
Well, I'm a firm believer, like you said, that these things are kind of connected, and it's so interesting how these worlds really do blend together. But with your Hatman experience and with the shadow people, I think you took the right approach, because
Yes.
so often in these situations, they can kind of go one of three ways, sort of. And I think you have to take dominion over your home. You have to take authority over your property and over your family. And I think, to Sarah's point, I don't know if we talked I think it was pre-show. She said she just went on a paranormal investigation. Someone asked if she got scared, and she said no. And that's actually really good, because
Yeah.
when you get scared and you have fear, I think that's actually kind of feeds them and makes them stronger. So I think your approach to it is just totally badass, that you just went in there with, that's it. You're out of here.
I was like,
no
"Rah."
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were ready to get down. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you're right. It does. It's all about your approach. If you're afraid, they know it. They can feel it. And then I even had an experience, a 9-year stint with a shadow figure in the house. And, I lived in a very paranormal neighborhood, and 90% of the homes in the neighborhood had activity of some sort. Nothing bad, just something moving, or, they heard something, or there was a knock, nothing bad. But with my circumstance, we had that too. But when we moved in, my husband and I had just gotten married. We're divorced now, just gotten married. We had a bunch of boxes that were in storage. We started unpacking boxes. I saw a box. I was like, oh, what's that? Opened it up, and it looked like a little plastic bracelet. I was like, oh, that's adorable. I said, what's this? Well, he had been in the Army for 20 years and retired Green Beret. And he goes, oh, that was a souvenir off my first kill. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, what? No, no, no. I'm like, you brought this into this house? And his first kill was in Afghanistan.
Oh.
And it was a violent battle. And he took it off of the body and brought it to the house. And I'm going, so I'm saging, I'm praying. I'm like, here we go again. So a few months went by, nothing happened. I'm like, okay, we'll be okay. And then all of a sudden, here comes this little shadow figure peeking around the corners. And he stayed in one whole area right by the garage where he kept this bracelet. And he was very small, very small. And he would just peek around and peek back around. And I'm like, oh no. So I realized it was attached to this bracelet. I asked my husband at the time, I'm like, get rid of it. And I said, bury it, do a ceremony. He's like, no, I'm not there. You're, nah, nah, nah. I'm like, and I knew no matter what was going to happen, he was going to keep that bracelet. So I said, I saged, prayed, anointed, and I made a whole list of rules because I'm like, here's this entity who died in a violent, violent way, whose bracelet, which was something sacred to them, is now being housed in America, being held by the man that killed him. He doesn't want to be there. I don't want him there. So now we've got to set something up like, what are we going to do? So I saged, I anointed, I prayed, I sat down, I said, listen, you don't want to be here. I don't want you here. But here are the rules. I laid down the law and I said, you cross this line. And I did something very similar to the Hat Man. I said, I will drag you to the depths of hell for eternity. And I said, you will die there screaming in pain. He followed those rules. He followed those rules. He would peek around. I'm like, you can peek. I don't care. Peek. Just don't cross this line. And he never did until the marriage started going into the toilet. And once the dynamic, the energy between me and my husband at the time went negative, all of a sudden he started getting a little taller.
Ooh.
And now all of a sudden he went from a little shadow figure to a shadow figure about my height. And then one night I woke up in the middle of the night and it was standing over me, watching me sleep.
Oh, fuck.
You can imagine, I lost it. I was screaming. I mean, foul language. I mean, it was bad. It was so bad. And so my daughter came running and I'm like, and I didn't want to tell her at the time what was going on. She's a young teenager. And she's like,
Crazy.
are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, just a dream, just a dream. I'm white as a ghost, sweating. Next day, I was like, you clearly crossed the line. Now it's on. So it hid from me for a good couple months. It was like, I crossed the line. I'm hiding. I'm not going to do anything. And it didn't do a thing. Then the marriage went really, really bad. I moved upstairs. It never went upstairs. It stayed downstairs in the master bedroom with my soon to be ex-husband, who was very negative and very angry. So my son one night went to the bathroom downstairs near the master bedroom. My son came out of the bathroom, looked in the master bedroom, and this figure started growling at him. And he came upstairs. He's like, Mom, he goes, there's something down there. It's starting to growl at me. I was like, there we go. Cross the line again. And then right after that, we left and my kids and I went on vacation for a week, came back during the day. My kids walked in, went upstairs. I walked in the house. The shadow figure was standing there in broad daylight in the master bedroom, way taller than me. And I said, is this how you want to start this off? And I bowed up against him and he disappeared. And then right after that, within a few days, my ex moved all of his stuff out and he moved out and the shadow figure was gone. So now he's residing somewhere else. I don't know where, but it was gone. After my ex took all that stuff out, the shadow figure were left.
So you've gotten rid of a couple of these at this point, right? And it's like, I'm thinking about this concept that I've heard before about, like, in a nutshell, that like we have dominion over this realm. Humans
Correct.
do if we take action.
Yeah.
If we claim dominion. But I'm thinking like back to your first story with the Hat Man, and it's like there seems to be something that they're responding to, right? Like Greater Key of Solomon, like he knew how to contain them and like cage them and use them or banish them, right?
Right.
What do you think that is?
So I think if you're able to hold over them and have this presence, don't be scared. To Sarah's point, don't be scared. You cannot be scared. You've got to say, these are the rules, and here's what you're gonna do, and know it and mean it, and bow up against them. Go up against them. Go straight for them. Don't run. Don't cower. Don't back down. Don't run away. Go straight at them. And by God, you'll be able to control your environment and them. And very much, if you know, like for instance, this bracelet, my husband at the time hid it from me. I couldn't find it. Or I would have taken that bracelet and had some sort of ceremony to bury it or do some sort of ritual to release that energy, but I could never find it.
I'm gonna mail
If
that
you
shit out.
know, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna mail that shit out of the country.
Yeah, right. Send it back to Afghanistan. Good Lord.
Fuck.
You know, and so, you know, if I had that, and to your point, if you were able to control it or harness it, you could know that there is an energy attached to an object, and then you can control that object. So then you're able to know, I've got this object. I'm going to put it an energy around it. I'm going to do something with it and control it. But very much, I mean, knowing I felt sorry for it, to be honest, because, you know, you die in a way fighting, then your soul is taken with this relic that is precious to you in a religious sense. And now you're being housed in a foreign country that you're not familiar with, being held by somebody that killed you.
Yeah, it was
That's got to
attached.
be.
It was
That's
attached to the bracelet, right?
absolutely.
Like the bracelet was like a portal in its own.
Very much.
And like houses can do that too. They can take on
Very much.
they can act like a portal, right? And you have
Oh, yeah.
and that's what they say about like some of these bigger, more well-known rituals like Crowley and like Loch Ness and all that. It's like he started something that he didn't finish, or is it more so that he just didn't close the portal or banish the spirit?
You know, that's a good question. And I am very much, there are portals out there. There's energies that open the portal and close the portals. And in my belief, and this is just a belief, this is not fact, I believe if you're going to open something, you better close it. Because if you don't close it, you don't know what you're opening yourself up to. It's very much like a Ouija board. If you don't know how to handle a Ouija board correctly and properly and know what you're doing, don't use it, because you're opening up a portal for anything. It's like opening up your front door and just saying, come on in, and not knowing who you're letting in or what you're letting in. So you really need to be mindful about the energy that you put out and what you're doing to open that up and inviting in.
I agree with that. And I mean, like, that's crazy that you said Ouija board, because as you're telling your stories today, I'm thinking about some of mine. And I won't regale everybody with that, but I lived in a haunted house and there was shadow figures there, right?
Mhm.
But what it was when we moved in that house, the previous owners took everything out except one thing. They left a Ouija board in the closet upstairs, and I
Mhm.
found it. And my mom got rid of it, but we had shadow people, and it's like, who opened the portal before we moved in, right?
Right. Right. And you've got to close it.
Did you
'Cause
live at
they
the
don't-
Conjuring house?
It was bad. It was bad. It's the same stuff that Natalie's talking about. Shadow people who either grow in size or diminish in size depending on how scared you are, essentially.
Mhm. Yeah, and the negativity, anger will feed them as well. Anger, hostility, toxic behavior, it feeds them. And the more positive you are, the more you go around and project positive energy, the more positive energy is going to be projected out in your surroundings, and the less likely these shadow figures or hat men or negative entities will gain that energy. So I try to, sage once a week and really put out that positive energy to ensure that within our walls is a lot of positive things and no negative energy is allowed in.
Yeah, and that's what Cryptid Huntress was talking about on this show, because I was on that show, and she was saying, like, out in the field, and she like repeated this a couple of times. She made sure to like drive this point, like, out in the field, this phenomenon feeds off of your energy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how you get results. Like if you go in there with high vibes, essentially, you're going to make some sort of contact.
Mm-hmm. That's why we meditate. So when I'm out there with Relic and we go filming, we meditate before we ever go out. We meditate, we pray, we get ourselves into a higher vibration, and then we enter wherever that we're going in the best possible mindset, mind, body, and spirit. So whatever, and we go out there with a very open mind. We don't go out there going, I'm going to hunt this. No, we go out there, whatever is there, we'd love to see you. We would love to experience you, whatever you may be. And we go out there and then we see some crazy stuff. I mean, we went out way out in the middle of the forest, and we were all sitting there, and we didn't have a fire, no flashlights. We just wanted to see what happens. And we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, the metal knocks start. Metal on metal, bam, bam, bam. And then we're like, okay, here we go. And then a couple minutes later, the metal knocks get closer. And it's like, bam, bam. We're like, okay, we're just going to sit here and act nonchalant. And then right beyond the forest line were 2 more knocks. Bam, bam. And we're just looking. And then the orb showed up. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the old flashes of the cameras that would blind you. That's what happened in the forest. Went pow, like light just shot, and it blinded us. And it was like, whoa. And then the orbs, there were more orbs. And then they would move. They started moving around us. And then they just disappeared. And then we heard something in the distance, like kind of walking. But we didn't see anything. Nothing on the therm, nothing on with our cameras on the night vision. So we're like, okay, let's walk back. Well, it was going parallel to us as we're walking. And then we get to an area, and there's something in the tree line across the way that was started growling at us. And so we couldn't see a thing. It was so thick. That tree line was so thick. And we stood there for the longest time. But a lot of people in that area witness these metal knocks, metal doors slamming. You're in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around you. And all of a sudden, you hear a metal door slam. And so this happens more often than what you think. I started talking to some folks in and around that area. They're like, yeah, the metal knocks, the metal doors. What is that? And so people seem to think because you start getting orbs or crawlers after this, or you see a cryptid, they feel that those are portals opening and closing.
Boom.
Boom. So those are the portals opening and closing, and that's how they get around. That's how they go from one place to another. Again, you could see footsteps walking in the snow or in the dirt, and then all of a sudden they stop and they don't go anywhere. Why is that? Well, do they transform into an orb and go off? Do they open a portal and go through it? I've had several people personally witness portals opening up and them seeing another realm beyond this. And it was nighttime where they were, and through the door of the portal, it was daytime. So these things, you just have to go out and experience it. And we're going out more and more often. We have a ton of stuff lined up in the future. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, we're ready to go. And our goal is to make some contact and see a portal and seeing how we can experience those portals.
While we're on the topic of portals, I know that you work really closely with Adam Davies of Relic Films.
Mhm.
And Nick, he'd be a great person to talk to someday.
Oh,
I
sure.
heard his story of his sort of portal activity. He had these beings, almost like the Hopkinsville goblins,
Yep.
come through and were trying to attack him and a campmate at night. And
Yes.
I really believe, and from what I've heard from talking to people, and the more that I learn, I do believe when you have these areas of high strangeness with things like Bigfoot, orbs,
Mhm.
crawlers, rake, whatever you want to call them, I really believe that that means that's indicative of a portal location. And then lo and behold,
Yes.
you'll find a piece of property. And even here in Florida, in North Florida, you have a property which I like to call like the Skinwalker Ranch of Florida, where they have seen rakes crawling out of portals there, and they have been long history of documented Bigfoot sightings on their property,
Mhm.
among other really strange things. So I really do believe there's a correlation there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of areas like North Florida. There's also one on a ranch in Texas that has portals and these rakes and cryptids coming out of these portals. And it's happening a lot. And I think a lot of people right now, because they're very well aware of it and know, let's go out, let's investigate, let's see what we can find. Where most people, if you notice, if you go anywhere, people are on their phones. They're only looking at their phone. They're not looking up at the sky. Is there something moving up there? Is there something in the tree line? They have earbuds in. They're not going to be hearing what's in the distance. So you have to be really mindful of, there are things out there. Put your phone down, take your earbuds out, and just go out there and just listen, sit in the wilderness and just absorb everything around you. And then you're going to see and witness and experience some really cool stuff.
Yeah. So like when I first started podcasting, I'll be honest with everybody, I had a pretty open mind, but like I thought that giants was nothing, portals was nothing. I didn't think the Smithsonian was up to anything shiesty. I didn't think. Now I do, right? Because
Oh yeah.
and like, but especially with the portals thing, now that I've looked
Mhm.
into it, I'm like, wow, there's something here. And it's like, in my opinion, this is a way that supernatural entities walk between worlds.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at with it. That's my opinion, right? But I think that this country is like a place where the spirit world at one time was immensely accessible. And I think it still is. It's just that back then they had traditions of how to deal with it properly.
Mhm.
And a lot of those traditions have been lost. The
Yes.
Native Americans knew, Black Elk knew, Geronimo, who was said to use portals, he knew.
Mhm.
But it's good to see like people coming back together, getting over their grievances across like the boards. Like, oh, I'm not just going to be a Bigfoot person now. I'm gonna dip my toe into the paranormal world, and I'm gonna talk to UFO people too, and I'm gonna check out some of these occult manuscripts to see what they
Yeah.
have to say. And we just all come together and let's figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
Because this was known. This is stuff that was known how to approach at one time.
Mhm. It's, you look back centuries and you will see drawings in caves and on rocks from indigenous tribes of
Yeah, those are the first
Bigfoot.
mythologies, the first stories. I'm so glad you went down that road because
Yes.
I believe Enkidu from the Sumerians was the Bigfoot, and I was just waiting for you to go ahead and cross that line that I can talk about it because he was described as such. He was a wild man,
Mhm.
described as living with among the animals and so on and so forth, and they had to send a female to kind of teach him human ways just to bring him, here into
Mhm.
like the city life, like and stuff like that, to civilization, I guess.
Yeah.
And and he had hair as tresses, and that can be described as so many different things. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, those pictographs, yeah, they definitely.
It does. It really, and I mean, you can go back into history. You can look at the Bible, and how many times does the Bible talk about giants? Multiple
A lot.
times. Yeah. And there have been archaeological digs within the United States digging up bones of giants. but we don't talk a lot about that. So it's really, we need to talk more, and we need to come together as a group and support one another and share information, because this is all within us. And I mean, what Brooke experiences out in the field and what I experience out in the field, and we had talked about this, she may experience something, I may experience something very, very similar in two completely different areas. We can come together and going, that's evidence. There's something more to that, which is really cool.
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I always said, like, on my website that I mentioned earlier, one of the first things I put on there was like, if we all take our individual puzzle pieces and bring them together, there's no idea of what kind of picture we may see. We have to work
Absolutely.
together to be able to see the bigger picture of it. And like me personally, I like to go back to the origins of religion and history and mythologies and stuff like that, because they talk about the basic stories of what we're talking about now, and they depict these individuals as such. Like Enkidu had horns, he had bull-like legs, but on the upper torso he had like human arms, and sometimes he had like a human face with horns, and sometimes it was just depicted different ways. But that was letting him know that he was not as a human of what we see as of today, anatomically,
Right.
that we have to go back to where they had like the head, like different species of humans and stuff, and we don't know what they really look like. We just can go off of what some minor bone scans and stuff like that. But there is definitely stories out there that there was some kind of Bigfoot individual out there that was with the animals. So it's obvious that it's been told since the beginning of writing. It was in the stories.
Right.
So that's what amazes me.
Yeah. And also throughout the whole world, we all have, I mean, if you look at it, a lot different countries have different versions of Bigfoot. They just call it something different, and they're a little different. They
Yeti.
could be shorter, they could be taller, they could be bigger, they could, do different things. And it's all related. And so there's something to this. We can't just dismiss it. We have to say what more is there to learn and to study. And that's why I love, forums and groups like this, where we can have a voice and we can reach additional people and say, you know what, just because you're old or you're young or you're male or female or wherever country you live in, go out there and explore. Find out what's out there. Let us know what you see, which is really cool. And like even here in Florida, and Brooke will tell you, there's plenty of activity here in Florida. I was in Ocala a couple months ago. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And I think it's funny, and Brooke, I'm sure you know exactly where this is. There is an Indian mounds, and right across the river is a little tiny postage stamp of land owned by the government. Why? We don't know, because the big range, the military range, is way south of there. But if you go to these Indian mounds and you walk down to the river, you can't cross the river because it's infested with alligators, but you can stand there. And as soon as we walk down, you hear two knocks, a whoop coming from the right, a whoop coming from the left, and a scream. And it was like human alert, there's humans. Everybody, there's humans, be quiet. And so we stood there for the longest time, and we knew that they were there. Nothing was showing up on the therm. Of course, we can't cross because of the alligators and because we would be trespassing. But why was that tiny little postage stamp of land owned by the government and we're not allowed to be on it, and we don't know what's on it? In my opinion, that's got to be a nesting area, some sort of protected area for them.
Well, Florida is supposed to be like the third highest Bigfoot sightings.
It is. And it's interesting that she says that, because I do research in that area that you're talking about. Shout out, she's in the chat right now, Kathy with Bigfoot World. She lives in Ocala, so we do go out there a lot, and we research in the national forest. And so the mounds that you're talking about, that's one of the few locations that I have gotten a feeling like I need to leave here. So I have been there several times, some during the day. My nighttime encounters have been a little bit more not great. there's like an energy that shifts.
Mhm.
When you come into this area, it's kind of hard to get to if you don't know where it's at,
Mhm.
which we kind of like it that way for a
Yeah.
reason. And all of a sudden, I just kind of get this bad feeling, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be the only one in the car that's like like a chicken doesn't want to get out. And I'm getting this feeling, and like if I get out of the car, like something really bad is going to happen. Like this really intense dread just came over me,
Mhm.
and I finally said something. You know, I'm with friends, and I'm just like, I don't think I want to be here tonight, guys. And they're like, really? Because I'm feeling the same way. And I was like, really? And these are people who are not sensitive. A couple of them are not sensitive people, you know, to energies and things, and they're saying, you know, my reader's going off. So it was like, okay, we decided to leave. And it was like literally when we crossed back onto the main highway, it was like an instant relief washed over us. And then
Mhm.
that's happened a couple times I've been there. And then I was there during the daytime not long ago, and we decided to ride some of the roads around there. And we stopped to get out to look at what we thought might have been a possible structure. And something came and hit the car, right? Like something hit the car. And we were like, what the heck is that? I get out. There's nothing around the car, like no tree limbs, nothing. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And it sounded like a bullet, like it hit the glass or something. So I'm like
Mhm.
looking to see. And we had to kind of go down and come back. And when we came back through the same area, we got something else thrown at us and it hit the car. So that area that
Oh.
you're talking about is a very active area. And I've got
Mhm.
some creepy things have happened there.
So
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Are there
Go ahead.
mounds there? Did I hear you say mounds?
Yes, there are.
Yes.
Okay, so I pulled this thing up. I thought you said that, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but this is another instance of this. I think it's called Stubbs earthwork, and I was going to do some digging in this for a show, but like it's basically in Ohio, and it had a serpent mound there at one point, and it's called Stubbs earthwork, but it was known as the Bigfoot earthwork by locals.
Okay.
Because all these rumors, it says unholy rumors began when this earthwork was first discovered of large cryptids who were witnessed at the site. And thus it was known as the Bigfoot earthwork until archaeologists from Ohio History Connection changed the name to Stubbs earthwork. So the academics come in and they change the name, but they built, instead of preserving the site, they put a high school on top of it.
What?
It's called the Little Miami High School. So I guarantee you that school's haunted.
Oh, absolutely.
But
You
it's
said
kind of
Little
travesty.
Miami, Little Miami High School.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they put it on top of a
I'm
serpent
gonna see if
mound.
I can Google Earth that real quick.
So
Little Miami.
it's it's lost history because it doesn't fit the paradigm. Of course, it doesn't.
Mhm.
All that stuff, right? But what piqued my interest here is that there was Bigfoot seen in association with mounds,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool area.
But I mean, that's just one. Like
Yeah.
people come on my show all the time and talk about cryptids of various types showing up around mounds.
Mm-hmm.
All these like frogman, all this stuff. There's always a mound
Yeah.
nearby.
Right. Yep. You see a lot of that. And I know Florida has a lot of indigenous tribes still here. We have the Seminole Indian tribes, we have the Miccosukee Indian tribes, and a few others. And they're quite prominent. And like the neighborhood I used to live in, we believe that it was built on unmarked graves of Seminole Indians. And that's why it was so paranormal. And there was such paranormal, and hey, Marion, and we had activity all throughout the neighborhood. It was nothing bad, but we had a lot of activity, almost as if it was a portal. And and Greg, my boss, is in the chat saying Bigfoot ate his homework, so that's good. Yeah,
Portals
it's
and stargates.
yeah. So I know, like, my daughter, because I always taught my kids, there's a spirit world, and there's things that you have to be respectful of, and it's okay that most of the time they're not harming you, they're just curious. Well, we would see various spirits come through the house, just as like passing through, just saying hello. And I think because the kids and I were always laughing and having fun. It was like, oh, that's a nice house. Well, every once in a while, we would have the spirit of a child come through. And one time there was a little boy that would hang out in my daughter's room at night for a couple of hours, and he would just sit there and just be very kind and sweet, and then he would just disappear. And that happened like for a few days, and then he just moved on. But she was like, oh, here he is again. So, and then you have the paranormal activity out in the field as well, very much. And again, it goes along with the cryptid sightings. It's really cool. And then we're going to be, I don't know, Brooke, are you going to, if you're going to be in the Everglades, the first part of October, not sure if you're going to do that or not, but that's a hot spot as well for the skunk ape.
I won't be at that one, but I'll definitely see you in Fort Myers.
Yes, see you in Fort Myers. But yeah, the skunk apes, I've never seen a skunk ape, but I did have a really cool experience down in the Everglades. Because I always say, when you're doing an investigation, whatever you're investigating, really understand what you're seeing and don't make assumptions. Really understand, because I mean, you can go into what's considered a haunted house and there's bad energy in this one room, and then you could realize it's bad wiring in the ceiling causing effects to happen and even affect your mind if this old wiring is bad. So really understand what you're doing. So I decided to go and camp in the Everglades by myself. I don't recommend that, but I did it. I had bear spray with me. I had a knife. I was ready. So the first night I was there, and I wanted to make myself look harmless and vulnerable to see what I would bring in. So I was laying in the tent, and about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear a loud chirp, as like a bird would chirp. And I'm like, that's unusual. That's not normal. And then a couple minutes later, I hear very large footsteps right beside my tent. And I'm just laying there. I mean, it's like right there. And then I heard what sounded like a small child just saying something, but I couldn't understand what it was saying. And then I slowly sat up and realized it was a Florida panther. Male Florida panthers, when they're in heat, make these sounds. And I just so happened to work with a doctor who runs a wildcat refuge. And I texted him the next morning, and he goes, oh yeah, he goes, my male Florida panther will chirp like a bird and make these weird sounds when he's in heat. And he's like, you're like, what is that? And he's like, it's a 200-pound Florida panther. And I'm like, well, it saw a cougar in a tent and was like, hey girl. So that was my experience. So I didn't have anything cryptid or paranormal, but that goes to show, a lot of people would say, oh, that's a skunk ape. That's a skunk ape. No, you have to understand what the local wildlife, the birds, everything.
I think you really got Nick with that one.
That was crazy. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I try. But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of really cool experiences, a lot of great experiences. And next weekend, we're going to be going to an asylum in Missouri. And we have a plan, which I will, if you'd like, I can report back on what the results of this was. But we're going to be going into an asylum, and I was asked to wear a God's helmet.
Oh, hell yeah.
In the asylum, in this one specific room, where they want me to sit in this bathtub and put on a God's helmet, and they're going to leave me alone. And I said, as long as we're filming, I want it filmed. I want it filmed from different angles to catch everything. And so I'm going to be doing that. So we'll see what happens. And this asylum has not only paranormal activity, but on the grounds, there has been multiple witnesses of Bigfoot and Dogman on the property. So I want to go in the asylum and then go out and do an investigation in the woods.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
awesome.
Good for you. Hell yeah. I'm jealous with the God mask. I really want to use one of those things.
Yeah, I can't. I'm excited. I definitely want to use it and see how, what kind of experience I have. I know Greg of Relic Films had an experience. Paranormal Paul, he put it on. He had his own separate experience. Everybody has a completely different experience, and I'd love to see what kind of experience I have under a very paranormal, uh, I guess, area where a lot of negative things have happened. So
Are you
I'm kind of excited.
blinded when you wear that helmet? Do they, or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to do to me. I want to go in somewhat naive because I don't want to really do any research on it as to what they did or how they did it, because I want to have my own experience. And that's what I like to do a lot of times, is walk into some place completely cold. And the last time I was in Tennessee, which Greg likes to do this to me, he'll like play little tricks on me or set me up for like little experiences and not tell me what's going on. Then all of a sudden, boom, it happens. We went into this place in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, the Knife Works, it's some big knife place. That's has a place in the basement for relics and old things that have been found in the area, whether it be bones, whether it be artifacts from wars, whether it be jewelry, whatever it is, you can go through there, and minerals and pretty stuff. Well, I'm very sensitive to spirit, super sensitive, and to energies. And he didn't tell me, of course, and he just all of a sudden just disappeared. Couldn't find him. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my own thing and walk around. And of course, he disappeared on purpose to see what kind of reaction I would get. Well, I'm starting to walk around and like I'm starting to feel energy, like residual energy from wars. And then I keep walking and I get this residual energy and I'm like, okay, that's residual. I get that. I take a turn and no lie, I was hit. My stomach went into a knot. My throat started to close. I felt heaviness on my chest. I was gasping for air. It felt like something like put pounds of weights on top of me. And I look and there was this case of helmets and there was one with a bullet hole through it. And I'm going, oh my God, I had to step away. And I'm going, I mean, I had to catch my breath because I couldn't breathe. And I was like, okay, I'm going to walk back. Same thing happened. Same exact thing. And I was like, you know what? I need to talk to whatever is attached here, whatever entity is there. So my friend Cheryl was there too. I said, listen, I don't want these people thinking I'm crazy. I'm going to act like I'm talking to you, but I'm going to be talking to the spirit. So I had my recorder. I walked up, turned the recorder on, and I immediately started the whole thing over again, knots and everything. And I started talking to the spirit. And immediately I went from gasping for air, fighting for air to even ask a question to immediately it was gone. And so there was some sort of attachment to this helmet with the bullet hole in it. And it was still lingering around, not realizing that I could feel it. I could feel its presence there. And once I started talking and I acknowledged it was there, it got scared and was like, whoa, what's going on? And it backed up. So then here comes Greg around the corner. Yeah, you felt that, yeah, there's an attachment there. He knew. He knew. He just wanted to see my reaction.
Yeah, what's the thing where they give you headphones and hook up some sort of a radio and it just goes through all the different stations and like you hear words? What is that?
That's the Estes method.
Okay.
And
can you do that and a God helmet?
No, you don't want to do that at the same time. Okay. So the God helmet has like this low magnetic waves that affect the temporal part of your brain. Where the Estes method, you want to remove your sight and you want to remove the sound, and then you put the earphones on and it's going through radio stations and you pick up voices from the spirit world, they will, you can hear certain words, and sometimes you can hear it and sometimes you can't. Now you can also do something similar with a ghost box without the earphones, but everybody's hearing it. And we've done that before. And in fact, Greg and I went with Paranormal 411 to
I was going to ask you about some stuff with this, actually.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead. Actually,
okay. So we went to this abandoned church in Cades Cove, and we had a ghost box there. And I had, Paranormal 411 has a lot of their own equipment, and they have everything, all the bells and whistles, they have it. So they had this ghost box there, and they set it down. And Greg and I had been there before, and I had asked them, I said, hi, my name's Natalie. I was here before. Do you remember me? And you hear over the ghost box, yes. So they remembered me. Then we started talking to them, asking them questions. They were radio silent. They weren't talking. Now, I felt a presence in the back of the church, and they weren't talking. They were like, radio silent. So we were like, okay, why don't we just leave them alone with the ghost box going? We're going to go outside because there is a graveyard in the back, and we have equipment to look out there. So we start to go out, we leave the church, we go around, and all of a sudden we hear two voices talking over the ghost box inside the church. And we're like, what? So we go back in, they shut up. We're like, they thought we left. They started talking back and forth and realized we didn't leave. So we set up the recorders, we set up everything, we go back out, and we hear them talking again. So we keep going, and we're out there doing our investigation. And on one piece of equipment that they have, you could see spirits as stick figures. And we saw two little stick figures by these graves. And we realized that those two graves were of children. And so their spirits were there. And then we saw another one down the way. Well, we started hearing something weird in the church, and it sounded like loud footsteps. But it was like, it just kept going and going and going. We're like, okay, we're going to leave that go, and we're going to keep walking. So I walked ahead of everybody. It was dark. I had no flashlights, and it was very late at night. It was like 11:30 at night. So it was pitch black. And I'm going along, and there's a chain, and I'm holding on to the chain because I can't see a thing. And I hear it from the graveyard, hey. And I turn, and I'm like, hello? And they said something. I couldn't hear what they said, and I'm hoping that they picked it up with the recorder. And then we didn't hear anything else. So we walked back in the church, and this noise is still happening. We get back in there and walk up. Now, this ghost box is a box. It has a battery pack attached. The ghost box has a wire connecting it, hooked in to the battery pack. The hook, the little plug was unplugged, and the battery was pushed away, and my backpack was knocked onto the ground.
Oh.
And so afterwards, we listened to the recording, and there was a woman talking, and she had a very stern voice. It was like this, no nonsense woman. She's like, I'm not having this. It was like, we're done. And so she unplugged the box and knocked over my stuff, and that's all she wrote. We didn't get anything else for the rest of the night.
Yeah, so I reached out to this guy probably about a year ago now, and I won't say his name because I think he's kind of done. He pulled out of his whole investigation, but he was investigating a swamp, I think up in Massachusetts or something, and there was Bigfoot activity, but this guy was getting all these crazy results, and he was getting all these recordings, and he was getting all these messages come through, and something about a witch in the area. It basically like this activity in the swamp was just off the charts. And I was trying to get him on my show, and he's like, if I come back and start doing this again, I'll come on your show, but right now I'm done. And basically something about the work following him home, and it just got too
Mhm.
heavy. So he had
Yeah.
to pull the plug. And I don't think that he's doing it anymore at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be careful. You have to be very mindful. So when you walk in someplace, yes, you can bring something home with you. But if you set the intention and tell them you're not allowed coming home with me at all, you're not allowed, you have to stay where you're at. You can sage, you can bless wherever you're at. And then there are still times where you can bring something home with you. And then you'd have to get a professional to come in and remove it.
Yeah. I like that Palo Santa and stuff you mentioned
Oh,
before.
I love that stuff.
It
Yeah.
smells nice too.
It
works.
it's so
It works
nice.
for a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And you could also, I have the oil, and I have it in a diffuser as well. So it smells so pretty.
You know, it's good to add sometimes to stuff like that. Rosemary. It's always good to add to like banishing stuff.
Yes, rosemary. Sometimes if I go out, I will take a bath in pink Epsom salts, rosemary, and lemon,
Yes,
and
use
so
that.
it will
So
cleanse the body, cleanse the soul.
nice. Something I wanted to ask earlier.
Yeah.
I got a little bit off it, but I mean, I guess we're still talking about portals in a sense.
Mhm.
When you had said paranormal 411, I was thinking missing 411.
Oh,
I ask you about that type of stuff. Where do you think like sometimes those? Well, one, I think those places, since they're all parks, something up with that to begin with. But do you think it's possible that maybe like these sightings or these people disappearing is due to portals, possibly?
that's a great question. I think a lot of the disappearances can be many different things. It could be foul play. It could be a cryptid. It could be a wild animal. It could be a portal. It could be a lot of different things. I think that every case is a little different, but I also think that in these parks, there's a lot of cave systems. There is a lot of paranormal activity, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. And so I love the fact that you just asked that question, because Relic Films, we just filmed in March about missing persons, and we have a documentary being released in January called The Vanished,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
about 2 missing person cases.
I'll definitely check that out too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a dark documentary. I'm not going to lie, it's quite dark. So, but it's so cool. It was so much fun and so interesting.
This is a real phenomenon as well. And because I just talked to somebody about this the other day who knows about this stretch of trail in a national park where 30 people have gone missing within a year.
Yep.
They're not talking about it. It's radio silence. But if you know people who work in the park, or you live in the area, or you frequent the area, you know about these 30 people who have just poof vanished.
Yeah,
It's
What
crazy.
and it's just like that.
Are you
crazy.
able to say which park or which state?
I don't remember. I'll message you after.
Okay.
I'll have to ask him which park it was again.
Because we need to go down that trail.
Yes, we do. We all do. We all need to go together.
Yeah.
Tie a rope. We'll send Nick
Yeah,
first.
yeah, the entire rope. I like that. That's actually a good idea.
We all are roped together and we
I'll
all
do
go
that.
down the trail. There was a missing persons report that I thought was so interesting in Maine, where this woman was hiking, and she was hiking part of the Appalachian Trail, and she was calling her husband periodically. She made friends along the way. Everybody was walking this trail. It was fine. Well, she didn't make it to her next destination. And there were people that passed her along the trail, and she was an older woman, and there was no trace of her. There was no struggle. There was no blood. There was no nothing. They took the whole trail from where she was. They knew she was. They took the path. There was nothing. It was as if she vanished in thin air, never to be found again. It was very bizarre. And things like this happen. And it's like, well, what happened to them? Did they see a portal and going, oh, that's cool, and go in it and never come back out? Like, where does this portal go to?
Well, that's
So,
what the FBI guy on the documentary that I watched, the Missing 401 documentary, D'Souza, the ex FBI guy, he said that the FBI knew about the portals and were studying them. And he said on tape that the interdimensional entities were using the portals and coming through and snatching people, apparently right off the trail.
And that's the government knows so much that they are not sharing. I mean, look at the whole report of UFOs. How long have we been saying UFOs? And they're like, you're crazy, you're crazy. And all of a sudden, the government's like, here's all the UFOs. We've known about this for decades. We've had a whole team on it. How many times are they, did they say, no, it's nothing? And then all of a sudden, yeah, it really is something. How many other files do they have open about all the cryptids? Oh, I did not become a missing person for a while, Greg. That was just me in my room sleeping. So
I was going to say, I wonder how many of those missing persons the Eisenhower Agreement allegedly could be responsible for. And for those who might not be familiar with that, allegedly after Roswell happened, President Eisenhower, with the help of Valiant Thor, struck up an agreement with these interdimensional beings or aliens that they could abduct a certain amount of Americans every year and do whatever they want. And they were given a set of
the Gray Otter Treaty.
There you go. Exactly.
The Gray Otter Treaty.
Okay. So I wonder how many of these disappearances could potentially be related to that because they've been allowed a quota.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure the government knows where, because just like that little patch of land in Florida that's owned by the government for whatever reason, there are patches of land all over the United States owned by the government. And there have been reports of Bigfoot nests, or there's reports of strange activity. Now, all of a sudden, the government owns it and you're not allowed going on to it. They have reports and they've done studies and they have so much information and they are not releasing it. Just like they released the UFOs, at some point in time in the future, they are going to release these files. And we're going to be like, we told you all. Yeah.
I knew it.
That Eisenhower Treaty thing sounds absolutely bonkers, nuts, but there was a very real incident associated with that lends some sort of credence possibly to it, because if anybody looks up the 1952 Washington D.C. UFO flyover, that really happened. I don't know what it was, but something strange flew over the White House, multiple something strange. And so I just want to sprinkle that in there because did President Eisenhower make contact with whoever that was and work something out? Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Yeah. There's the presidents know, the government knows, other countries, they know as well, but they're just keeping it under wraps because I think if we all knew the truth, we would be shocked as to everything that is happening in this world that we know nothing about.
I think the reason they keep a lot of it hidden is because, it's probably their own shit. And then if you understood how it worked, you'd be like, wait, that's possible.
Yeah. Time travel, shifting timelines, going into portals, ending up somewhere else. And, understanding what these cryptids are and the abilities that they have. I mean, you've heard of Bigfoot's cloaking and looking at their hair and how the makeup of their hair is and how they can camouflage very, very well, and you won't be able to see them.
I was going to ask you about that earlier, actually, about what you thought about all this. Like, does the government know about Bigfoot and everything? Because, I had a really interesting conversation with a ex-Green Beret once here in Nashville. It was like back when I used to drink, I used to go out and drink with this guy. He had all these crazy stories. And like he's one of these bearded dudes that still disappears for a couple months and goes over to the Middle East and does who knows what
Yeah.
and gets paid big time for it.
Mhm.
So he had all
Yeah.
these crazy stories, but apparently there's a hierarchy. There's a system in the government that goes up through the Bureau. I'm trying to remember, like parks, the Fish and Game answer to the Bureau of Land Management or something like that, and then it goes up to the what did he say? The State Department, and like just a couple people in the State Department handle all the Bigfoot cases, and they keep and the couple people at the top, they've been in government for 40 years. That's how they keep it locked down. These guys just they die in office essentially. Well, they're not in office, but they die in that position, and the secrets go with them, and they get somebody else who's been in for 30 years who they can trust. The secrets.
Yeah. So it goes beyond a TS clearance. So it goes beyond top secret clearance. Whatever that is above that is what they have. Because they can't have just everybody knowing this information, because then it's going to get leaked. So they want to keep it very, very tight, and they're not telling anybody. And they'll release it one day. I'm sure of it. And then we're going to find out so much more. But right now, I mean, look at all the UFO sightings that there are, and people are coming out. It's because it's more acceptable. You know, people didn't want to share it when it wasn't acceptable. Now it is. And just like the Bigfoot sightings, or, you know, people go out in the woods and they see something and they're like, oh no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. And they didn't want to tell anybody because they're embarrassed or they're to get made fun of. You know, we need to understand that this is a creature. People have seen it. There's been multiple sightings each year, all throughout the world. You know, we just have to really understand and study it, and again, share information.
And I think, to your point, I don't think we'll ever have the day where they do a massive dump. What I think it is kind of like, you know, how they talk about when you boil a frog, how you have to turn the water up slowly, because if you put a frog into a boiling pot, it's going to jump out. I think if they were to truly release everything that they have, it would be mass chaos on a worldwide scale. So I think what they're doing are these little drips and these drops. And I really think that, I mean, I was just watching the game the other day, and there was a Bigfoot Verizon commercial. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but there's literally a Verizon cell phone commercial saying like you can use your iPhone to Bigfoot like edited himself out of the photo so he wouldn't be seen. And they're pushing it more and more mainstream. And I think it is that soft disclosure, because if they let it all out all at once, it would be mass chaos. So I think that they're doing these very intentional and strategic drops of information.
Yeah, I think so. Exactly. Because if we did hear everything all at once, I think there would be chaos. You know, it would be so bad and nobody could handle it. It's like we've been, what's happening in that mountain? What's happening in the sea? Who's living under the, you know, what's going on? And there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, because those little, like if you're on the highway and you're on a road trip and you drive by those little state patrol stations, like the state patrol officers have a pamphlet of what to do and who to call if somebody has a Bigfoot incident or a UFO incident. And I think it goes back to this hierarchy that this guy was telling me about. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was not the State Department. I think he said it went up to Homeland is who it was.
It's funny because somebody took a picture, and I'm sure that it's been passed around. It's a Bigfoot, and it's a sign in, I believe, a park in Utah. And it says, you know, Bigfoot lives here. Don't feed the Bigfoot. And it's all the instructions of what not to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's your guide. Just understand this. Yeah. Stay on the path. Don't go off the path.
Oh, yeah. This guy right here who does the missing 411, David Politis.
Yes. David
This is his Bigfoot book called The Hooper Project. And he goes through a bunch on all these states that have laws that deal with Bigfoot. Like more so up in Washington and Oregon and like in those areas where it's just kind of known that it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's there's all these instances in here where the state government acknowledges the existence of this creature.
Well, something really cool. Anybody that loves cruises, in September of 2026, David Pilates is going to partner up with Gather Up Events, and they're going to do an Alaska cruise. So you can go on a cruise to Alaska, do the whole Bigfoot thing, and do the missing 411 piece as well, and like spend a whole week on a cruise with David Pilates and several other speakers. So it's a cool event, but yeah, you get to learn so much more and have one-on-one time with him, which is such a cool experience.
I was looking for my book, Tim. I got him to sign it at the Gatlinburg Bigfoot Conference. I flew it there, and he signed my copy of Hooper Project. Excellent book for anybody who's interested in this stuff.
Yeah, I love that you have that book. That's awesome.
Great place to start.
Since y'all plugging in books, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my book, Journey Through the Origins of History, on page
Shameless.
you know what I'm saying? On page 221, that's where I actually talk about, look at Dick over there laughing. I had to throw it in there.
There it is.
Books, I had to throw my source in there too. You know what I'm saying? I actually talk about Bigfoot and Enkidu being one and the same, like I was saying earlier, because of the simple fact of the mythologies, the depictions, and so on and so forth. I mean, there are these old mythological stories that talk about this, so it's obviously big. So I just wanted to throw that out there, you know what I'm saying?
That's so cool. Yeah. Read up. There's a lot of great books out there.
I'm really excited about
that. And that's actually how I found out about it, was that I was reading so many different books about Bigfoot, and then somebody mentioned in one of their books about Enkidu being a possible Bigfoot. So I looked more into it, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually pretty interesting, because they show the different depictions of Enkidu as possibly of what would be a Bigfoot. And the horns, a lot of people look at horns as something being evil, but that was being what Tim would say, like a hierarchy. That's where you would represent a king or a god or so on and so forth. Moses had the same thing. He was actually the first one that was depicted with horns.
That's so cool. Greg goes, what do you think humans were created from? Oh, Greg.
Yeah, it was Bigfoot.
Working with him is such fun.
Did anybody go ahead, Tim?
Oh, just as dumb. So that we don't need. I was just thinking about, somebody showed me this thing. It's a old painting on the ceiling of a chapel or something. It's got Bigfoot in it.
Oh, cool.
Somebody in the chat probably know about it. I forget which painting it was, so I don't want to say, but it's interesting. It's like.
You have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy, Tim.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it was just recently too, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is that?" Too, it looks like a hairy person. Anybody have any other questions before we start to wrap it up? No.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
When you're on a paranormal investigation, what other kinds of technology do you use? And is there one that's like your favorite, or, does it vary case by case, or?
Well, I'll tell you, it varies case by case. Excuse me. The technology is great, but it can also glitch. What I like to do is I like to use my own sense. And I like to walk in and just feel the whole room, because I can feel the presence. I can feel when they're near me, and I can feel if they're good or they're bad. And so that's what I start out with. And then I'll go to a recorder and start asking questions, because, you want to make sure that you can kind of first show them respect to their space and thank them for allowing you to be there. And then just say, I'd love to understand a little bit more about you, and then use a recorder. I think that's my favorite. With the ghost box and the Estes method, you may get other voices in that from radio signals that may be a little jumbled up a little bit. So you may not be getting 100% of what they're saying. Right. A lot of times you can go and get an app on your phone and you can use that. And
I've
that is
seen those. I wondered
yeah,
if there was anything to that.
They
yeah.
are legit. I have experience with them. And my friend uses them, but I also had another individual, and he actually tested it. He ran it at his house all day long for hours.
Mhm.
Nothing ever came through. He was expecting to get something, like if it's just like a random word generator or something. And
Yeah.
he tested it a few times at home, didn't get anything. Brought it out. We used it in an investigation, and we were having dialogue in the cemetery. And he's like, "It's never done this before."
Mhm.
And we were having like intelligent conversations. So they are legit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's a great way to communicate or to understand who you're talking with. So again, just whatever method that you use, test it out, because there are things that will glitch.
I would think it's more useful, like in conjunction with other technology too, so that you
Correct.
could. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
And the one really cool thing that happened to me, I was in Massachusetts. I was living in Boston, and it was a very haunted area. And we had so much activity up there. And one day I'm sitting and watching TV, and I felt a hand rest right on my arm, and nobody was there. And I'm going, oh.
Nope.
I'm
Nope.
like, okay, all right, you're there. I can hear you. I can feel you. Okay.
That's the rule. You can move things around in the background and make all the noise you want, but if you touch me, I'm out.
Yeah, that hand, I
That's
felt
the
the
rule.
fingers, I felt everything. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. Nope.
So, Natalie, for people that might make it down to Fort Myers, hey, what would you possibly be talking about at this event? I
Oh,
mean,
I'm gonna
obviously,
be
just little hints here and
Yep.
there.
I'm going to be talking about portals. I'm going to be talking about their relation to the cryptid world, to the paranormal world, and everything in between. And we're going to talk about the reasoning behind portals and the science behind it, as well as the theories behind it.
That's awesome. Look forward to hearing it. That's great.
Awesome.
So yeah, if anybody is in the area, what is that? The 18th again, correct? Yes.
Mhm. October 18th.
Charlie's Beyond Belief. We got Brooke and Natalie both speaking there, so come check it out. And it's cheap as hell too, I think.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
all right. So before we wrap it up, I'll let everybody plug their shows again real quick one more time. Brooke, go ahead. Let everybody know where they can find your amazing show.
Yes, thank you again for having me. This was an awesome conversation.
Yes.
I love this stuff. So thank you. You can find me on Instagram and everywhere else at Dark Florida Podcast. You can find me wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. This was great.
Awesome. No, thank you for coming on, and thank you for suggesting the guest. It was great.
Thank you,
Tim.
bro.
Yeah. Oh, this was fun. Yeah. Thanks, Natalie. And
Thank you.
to all the other rejects, thanks again, Nick, for having me. And yeah, Sixth Sensory Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, Patreon. Come check it out.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us, sir. Sarah, what's up?
I definitely enjoyed this. This was so informative. It's fun to just kind of, shoot the shit with other people that are into this. And just bounce ideas off of each other. Like that's what it's all about.
Yep.
But you can find me at the Universe Unveiled podcast. You can visit our website for the Institute for Natural Philosophy.org, and you can view our magazine there. Universe Unveiled puts out a new episode every other Wednesday and the news every Sunday. So be sure to check that out.
We also got a great public relations department.
Thank you.
Tyrone, go ahead. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Hey, this was awesome. I definitely love this discussion and enjoyed what you had to share. Like I said, Bigfoot is a big thing for me. I'm actually in Georgia, so we get somewhat of some stories about it or whatnot. Everything, like I said, you can find on me is on my website, rebirthoftheword.com. And I talk a little bit about, Bigfoot and the relationship in the Sumerians and mythology and so on and so forth in my book, Journey Through the Origins of History, which can be bought on Amazon. I appreciate it, Nick.
Of course. I appreciate you coming on. And Natalie, finally, please let everybody know where they can find all your stuff.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Natalie Smearman. You can find me on Channel 12 TV Network. You can find me at Relic Films. And you can also find me, I'll be with Greg on Beyond the Ordinary, being released in November. And you can see the documentary, The Vanished, being released in January. And then you can also see me upcoming in Enigma 911.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. The way you told the stories and everything was a great time. Your
Awesome.
experiences were wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you all so much.
Definitely. If you ever have any more stuff to come back on, you're always welcome. So definitely.
Awesome. I will.
All right. And thank you, everybody in the chat. That's what's up. There was a lot of people here, from all channels. And I appreciate everybody commenting and adding stuff and everybody sticking around for the whole show. That's what's up. So until the next one, everybody be well. Later.
Thanks.